Well, here it is. It is finally my day to do my project for the big Christmas A to Z collaboration that we are doing. If you're following along, there is 31 of us in this collaboration. It's fantastic. Of course, I'm like later here in the series, but I've been watching, following along, and these ladies are coming up with some fantastic ideas. So in this kit, or in this project, I am using the RachandBella Crafts Christmas Past, a vintage journal kit. This is actually the only page I have left that I haven't cut up. It's a fantastic kit, and I will show you bits as I'm working here. And I'm glad to be part of this challenge, and I'm very glad to be using this kit. I will put the links of all the other fellow creators in my description below, as well as the hashtag there so that you can follow along. You can follow on my Facebook spots, as well as on YouTube. There's a listing of all of these projects going on. Feel free to take a look at all of them. Please subscribe to all these ladies. They are doing fantastic projects, and would definitely love for you to subscribe and give a thumbs up to all the videos. So my letter, if you've been following, there's been letters, numbers, excuse me, and sayings. So I got 8 maids a milking, and I've decided I'm going to do 8 flaps a flapping using the 8. I am creating an advent calendar. My project is, of course, over the top as my usual style, but I feel that this is getting my 8 flaps a flapping in here, and it got my mojo going, and my project, of course, got a little carried away, but that's all right. I am doing a junk journals advent calendar with 8 flaps. On each of the 8 flaps, there will be another 8 flaps. So I'm doing my 8 flaps a flapping twice. So what I'm doing is, I'm just going to show you here, is I'm also repurposing. I have this book. Actually have 2 copies of this book. I'm not sure why, but this book has got an easel back to it here, and then you flip your pages over. It's got all these fantastic tabs, which kind of got me thinking, I want to use this book. I've kept it in my stash because I'm going to use it for something. Well, this is it. Today is the day. So what I've done is I've taken this all apart, measured the pages up here, and this is the basis of what my advent calendar is going to be. So here's the one that I took apart. So you can see I painted the back part with some distressing ink, and then I covered all the spots. Here's the easel part that pops out, with craft paper, because the craft paper really goes with this kit nicely. I thought it was a nice good base. And what I've done is I've made my 8 flaps. So I have made 8 flaps like this. So this is just the basic, the fit. Now you can do this if you don't have an easel book like that. You could do this on a clipboard, where you would just have each pages. You could put them on those little easels, and you would just flip a page a day. There's so many ways to do this, but I just thought I'll repurpose my book. So in my case, my book is, pages are 8.5 by 8.5, so square. And what I've done is I've put my whale tab punch. I've done a bunch of them, and when I put this all book together, you'll see how I've staggered them around so that you can flip them over. So I have done that. Now this is my flap, and I've got 8 of these in the advent calendar, but I need to put my 8 flaps on here. Now the other reason I did these 8 flaps is I'm not very good at adding a lot of flaps. I can add 1 or 2. I kind of get stymied at that. So this was a personal challenge to get in as many flaps as possible on here. So we're gonna try it, and hopefully this will inspire you to use some more flaps in your thing. But I just thought it'd be cute for this advent calendar. So because my pages, it's 8.5 by 8.5, but it's got this mark here. So I'm actually going 8 1/4 because I want to leave that spine there so when you flip it over it's not getting in your way. So for this one, what I've decided is I'm going to do 2 sideways flaps. So I'm going to score my sheet of paper here, which I better make sure I cut it down to 8 1/2, which this one happens to be perfectly 8 1/2 because it's out of a pad of 8 1/2 inch paper. So I've scored my tab, a 1/2 inch tab, and then what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to burnish. I don't know why I can't get this straight lately. I'm going to take my 8 1/2 inch score mark there. I'm just going to burnish that really well. And so that would be that way. And I'm going to fold this into 3. As close to evenly as possible. Yeah, you could measure, but I'm not that bothered. So basically, I'm going to just fold it into 3 and burnish. So this is going to give me 1 flap, 2 flaps, and then when I put it into the book, that'll be 3 flaps. So I'm going to do that again for the other side. So let me just get another piece of paper. So again, I'm going to give myself a 1/2 inch flap here for when I glue that into my book. And I'm going to fold it, burnish it, and then fold it into 3, just like the other one. And because I'm doing a junk journal advent calendar and flaps nut, I don't feel I have to be exactly precise or exactly the same as the other one. It adds a little bit to the thing. So now I've got my other 1, 2, 3 flaps there, which I will put into my book this way. But that's only 6 flaps. I still have to get another flap in there. So I'm going to, I think though, before I go any further, I'm going to corner punch. I'm just going to round these. I'm going to do a 1/2 inch punch on each of my corners here. Okay, I'm going to punch for the other one. So then I've got these. They're all punched out. I'm going to attach them. Where'd my flap go? Here. So I'm just going to run some tape on my flaps. Find my tape. So I'm doing tape as well as a little bead of glue on these just to make sure, because I'm planning on using these to do a lot of flipping on there. So I want to make sure it stays in place, and I still got to embellish. So I want them to be pretty sturdy. So I'm going to just peel off my thing there, add a little bit of glue. My glue would come out. There we go. Not a lot, but just enough. And I'm going to attach that right to this edge here, lining it up to the bottom of that, and I'm just going to burnish it in there and just wipe off any excess glue that I've got. So you can see now I've got 3 flaps there. I'm just going to wipe off my extra glue. Don't need anything sticking. And I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. A little bit more glue. There we go. And I'm going to do the same thing over here, lining it up again right with the bottom corner, because you want to leave that gap at the top so the rings can flip around, no problem. Get it in there. Wipe off any excess glue, which I seem to have a lot of it today. A little heavier on the glue than I was expecting. Okay, so now I have got my flaps here. I still need, because that's 6 and I'm doing 8, I still need 2 more flaps. So what I've decided to do is I've got a couple of these offcuts. So I'm going to glue, I think, a middle flap on here. And then I'll use this so I could tuck some stuff in behind. That's what I'm going to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this onto this flap here. Use my tape. Oops, peel that off. I'm going to glue this in here. So I'm just going to line it all up right into the fold and let the fold come over and do that. And that'll be my flaps there, I think. So that's 1 flap, 2 flaps. But I think I made a mistake because I want to be able to still have my flap move all the way over. If I secure it there, that's not going to work. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm just going to cut another strip. I'm just going to mark it and cut it the same length. And I'm just going to make an additional flap that I'm just going to put on the back side there. See if this works. So I'm going to do a half-inch flap so that it's got something to secure to the back. That'll be perfect. So what I'll do is I'll glue this onto the back. So now I've got my flap because I didn't do it right the first time. So that then this flap will move all the way around. So that's perfect. So I'm just going to run some tape on this side. It's a little harder to get all these flaps in. Like I said, I don't normally get too many flaps in, and I found that this project, it was definitely a challenge to get all these flaps in. So those ladies that do this, that make it look so easy, hats off to you, because I really had to try. So I'm just going to line that up. So now when I secure this down, I will have the flaps like that, which is perfect because I'm going to, I'll do it this way. Because I'll mat all these after. So I'm just going to load some more tape on here. And this time I'm going to put a little bit of extra glue on the back of this one because I want it to be secure for sure. Because then I can put some tuck, when I've matted, I could tuck some, oops, that's too much glue. I can, way too much glue. I can mat some, put some envelopes or something underneath. So I want to make sure I got this pretty secure. Wow, definitely too much glue. So, get the glue off of there. So I'm going to just line this up. Press it in. Now, secure this over on this side too, because I really want to burnish it so that it'll be a good flap. So what I'm going to do though is that I want to put something behind here, but I don't want my flap to be sticking up all the time like that. So I'm going to secure, oops, some magnets just to help keep this down. So I'm going to put one here, and basically when I do my magnets, I position them with my two-sided tape where I want it, the one side, which I think right there will be good. So when I mat it, I'll just peel that off. But here's my trick to getting magnets in the right spot, because until I discovered this, I was getting them all in the wrong spot. I slap my magnet on. That lets me know which way it's going to stick, because sometimes I've put them in and they've been backwards, which is a pain in the butt when you want to try and take that off and fix it. It doesn't work so well. And then all I usually do is I dab, this is one of my dabbers, it's got black ink on it. So I just dab some ink on the back of the magnet, press it down to where I want it to go. So now you can see that's where I want it to go. So remember, when you take this magnet off, it's the side that you inked has got to go down into that ink mark. Now I tape it in. Just a little trick, it seems to work pretty good. Now I get them lined up every time. So you can see, now that'll just keep my one flap down. And then these are my flaps. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mat this, and then I will come back and show you what I've done. All right, so you can see I'm back and I have matted most of the parts here. But because this is an advent calendar, I've done a few little hidden spots. So what I've decided to do is for this flap here, I'm going to make it a pocket. So I've only taped on 3 sides of it so that I can make it a little hidden pocket. So I'm just going to mount that on here and burnish it well. And again, like I said, this is an advent calendar. So on all the pages, I have added these numbers that were in the kit. And so there is 25 little spots that are hidden with little treasures in between. So I'm just going to ink this one up and attach this one here by this flap so that you will hopefully, whoever gets this will find the little flap and pull out a treasure. That's why I'm calling it the Junk Journals Advent Calendar. I've got little things going in everywhere. So I've got that one there. And will this tag fit in here? No. I'll have to do some smaller tags. I've got a bunch of ephemera from the kit as well. Oh, here we go. I've got some little tiny, I got a postcard. Christmas postcard will fit in there. Perfect. So Christmas. So then I've left one here, which I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put a little pocket in there. I'll just attach that on. Make sure I attach it to the right direction. And I'll attach another number. And I've not done the numbers in order in here because that would be boring. I've done all different numbers all over the place and including on the front cover. So when we assemble this calendar, you will see all the different spots when I do the flip through. I'll show you. But I just thought this would be kind of something fun, an advent calendar for adults, or at least for us crafters. Add the number there, and I think this is where I'm going to put, I've got one of her journaling cards. I'm going to just tuck it in there. So then I need one more spot because I have one last number. If I could figure out where I put the number. Ah, I've lost my number. Hopefully it didn't go far because I don't remember what number it was. Oh, okay. Well, I'll find the number later. But the magnet that I put here, that's where I thought I'd put one of these tags underneath here. Actually, just this one. This one will flip up. But here, this magnet will keep that one closed. And then that is this page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get all my pages together, all 8 flaps, and I'm going to show you how I'm assembling these. I will be right back. All right, I'm back. So I got my coil and I'm going to start loading up my advent calendar. And I think I have to start at the back and work my way forward. So I'm just going to load it in. And again, like I said, you do not have to do this on this kind of thing. You could do it however you want to do it. Clipboard, easel, however. I just happen to have this book and I'm going to repurpose it. So as you can see on mine, I've got my tabs, so I'm just starting so that my back tabs are at the back. They're all spaced out the way they should be spaced. Slide these all on. Gotta make sure I get everything lined up. Oops. I'm sure there's probably an easier way to do this, but all right, so I'm going to struggle, put these on, and then I will come back on screen once I've got all these done. All right, so as you can see, I've got them all threaded on. And thank goodness I didn't do that on camera, because it turns out once I threaded them all on, they were on backwards. So I had to take it off and do it again. But it's so big, it's kind of hard to see in the camera here. So I'm going to do a walkthrough and show you my 8 flaps a flap and advent calendar. So you can see how you could adjust this bigger or smaller to whatever your needs are. I just thought the 8x8 would be a perfect size for sitting on a tabletop or whatever, because it is supposed to be a piece. So I'm just going to see if I can pull you a little bit better here. There, so you can actually see the whole calendar. There we go. Now if I can get my camera to stay. Oh, perfect. Hold on. There we go. So this is 8 flaps a flapping. So this is the actual cover of the advent calendar. So in the first, so this is just the cover. So as you can see, I got day 2 on here. Some little ephemera in the pack, and this is what happens when you open it up. So this is flap number 1 out of 8. So you've got your 1 flap. Oh, that's where that tag came from. 2 flaps. Sorry, there we go. So there's your 1 flap. It's on magnets, as you can see. So there's 2 flaps, 3 flaps, 4, 5, 5. Let's see if I can get this one in here. 6. Close it up. Lift it up. 7. And actually I got more than 8. I got 9 in there. So in these here I put pockets with some more ephemera for the lucky recipient to find, and then my magnet closure on there. So number 1 was here with a little hidden pocket in there. So next flap. This was actually a lot harder than I thought, trying to get 8 different kinds of flaps in on my project, but I think I managed to do it. So this one is 2 belly band flaps. Number 3 here, which is some tuck spots in here of ephemera. There's number 7, which is, oh, can't really see that. I'll put it down here. So number 7 flap here for the advent calendar was one of the tags from the kit. So number 7. And we can see here, I've got the flaps in there. So this one, I'll close it all up again so you can see, because remember I'm doing 8 flaps. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the bottom one flaps out, which is 8. So I'm actually doing pretty good here. So there's your number 3, which has you got your surprise in it. I'm not going to pull out all the surprises because whoever gets this will find some more. And actually, I think I'm going to pause for a second here, and I'm going to try and get my camera to be a little better angle here. All right, there we go. So you can see, there's your flap.